Thank you for your patience. I don't know if you know, I do this. I'm on the board of the Lavender Effect, and we do this virtual Pride Parade. This is our second year in a row.
Yeah.
And last year, Alexander Billings hosted, and we had like 1 million celebrities. And
I saw it. It was wonderful.
Oh, you did? Okay. Anyway, so this year we're recording it as opposed to being live. Although Alec Mapa is the host, he'll be live, but everything else is being recorded, which is a lot easier to coordinate. But there's all the back and forth about just getting the content. But and it's a little less exciting in terms of, although Alec will be live in the moment, so that part's fun. But anyway, we just got a press request from KCBS, so I had to deal with that for a minute. Sorry.
No, my gosh, yeah. Now we've got to all see this.
This year, yeah, go on.
I remember last year, everybody was like in their waiting room watching the whole thing, weren't they?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Lily and Bruce and...
it was so funny because a lot of people just watched on Facebook Live, but if you were in the Zoom, then you got to see Lily sitting there for 4 hours, which was kind of insanely amazing. But I'm like, oh my God, we owe Lily what a sport. 4 hours she sat there.
She's amazing. In so many ways.
Every way. So how are you? Before we start all this jazz, what's up?
I know, although that little snippet there could be used if you want.
We can use whatever you want. I'm fine. As long as I don't pick my nose or do something stupid.
Okay, I'll cut that out.
So you're an actor, right?
Yes.
And you're very attractive.
Thank you.
Hey, man. Dude, I know who you are. Hey, Smiley. Why don't you meet me down at the corner after your practice? Throw a couple of cold ones down.
See how I feel.
Word. Smoke? You should stick your finger down your throat. Make you feel better.
I just don't know where I left those keys.
Here's your license now. No autos matching that description. We ran the plates, nothing turned up.
Guys, I gotta lock up.
You're gonna have to drive you home.
Why would anyone want my car?
Ma'am, is that your car?
Oh no!
Don't worry about it, ma'am. It's okay.
.103 is Central. Got back to the house. Car's in the driveway. Gonna take a look around.
Room service What's going on?
I bet your wife would love to see these. Or the media, maybe.
I was just listening to her sing.
In the bedroom?
I think you got this all wrong.
No, she doesn't.
How are things in the indie movie business?
Kind of slow. Economy. I had an hour-long phone call with my distributor today.
Oh, yeah? How'd that go?
Didn't go like I hoped it would. They suggested I go with another distributor.
Well, it all started when Laura got this email from someone at her church.
Francine.
And
well, no, it wasn't. Well, that wasn't. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, and so she showed it to me, and well, that's how it started.
You can get rid of your crazy meds, but you have to take your heart medication.
Laura, she said I don't.
What are you talking about?
No, I am not leaving. I am an American.
And they completely edited it to make us look like
There was just one part.
Free market capitalism is in the founding documents of this nation.
That's right. We are a Christian nation.
It made Laura look like an idiot.
Just think.
Alan, you don't have to explain anything. It might be best if you didn't worry about it.
Did somebody say something? No. But somebody must have said something. I don't think I'm too sensitive. And even if I am, I just want to be sure. At the end of the day, I can live with my choices, and I need to make the right choice.
Your boss called.
What?
Your boss called.
Thanks.
You don't seem very worried.
Like, oh!
Maybe volunteering to speak was a bad idea.
Roger, nobody expects you to do this.
I need to. I just thought it would be easier when the time came. When I walked in here and sat in his place. I remembered so many things.
What are you gonna say about him?
I don't know.
I did an interview last week with Lonnie Anderson.
Nice.
And
she's so sweet.
Oh my God, you know, and it was my first connection with her, but at the beginning, I'm still trying to, you know, I start doing this where we just come on and we start talking, and usually I would say, I do a little like, just on me for 10 seconds and introduce you, and then, but I'm starting more and more just to like jump into it.
Okay, I love that. That's kind of the way it should be, I think, right?
Yeah.
It's like jump deep into the pool. My Chihuahua wants to jump. Actually, do you see Baby back there?
Oh, what's his name? Her name?
That's Baby the Chihuahua, and I'm gonna bring her by, and then I'm gonna let her down because she's like, I want off this couch now. So hold on.
Oh, baby, this is our animal moment of the.
Come here, baby.
Of the Mel England. Baby.
This is Baby the Chihuahua.
Baby.
And actually, when I did the cover for Plus magazine, you know, they had the feature article, and Baby was in one of the main shots with me.
Oh my God.
It was me and Baby. So she's a little star.
Today, Meet the Biz with Baby.
That's totally. And her assistant Mel, who picks up her poop.
Oh.
At least she's appreciative for me picking up the poop. Thank you, Baby.
Today's episode, picking up the poop.
Believe me, we could have 5 episodes. We could have a whole series about that. Oh my God.
Everybody, Mel England. Yay!
There it is. Need we say more? Are we done?
I think no. This is what I was gonna say. First word that I thought of. I always think of a word to describe who's coming on, and the word that came, magnetic.
Wow.
Magnetic Mel.
Wow,
And I just
like
thought
that.
I don't know. And then it's magnetic, handsome, powerful,
Wow.
and all of his projects seem to win awards.
Well, yeah. I've been very lucky I feel like, David, I keep working somehow. And I'm always, it's not that I'm not at a stage of my life where I'm like, you know, if I go a spell without working, I don't necessarily freak out the way I used to when I was younger and stuff. Right. But I'm still pleasantly surprised. I'm always surprised that somebody's like, oh, hey, you want to do a thing? I'm like, great. Because for me, the greatest honor is that you could be in somebody's project, you know, like I recently, it's in post now. Well, actually, no, they completed it. I did a film with Billy Clift. I've done a few with Billy Clift now, which is kind of insane.
Oh, it's wonderful.
I mean, but we did a film about 3 gay men in the Holocaust, which is just kind of, you know, we all know, a lot of us know that there were gay, you know, the pink triangles in the Holocaust. But oddly, when Billy first talked to me about it, I thought he was just asking me to maybe read the script. I didn't connect. And so, you know, I was like, wow, it sounds great. Let me know. I'd love to read it. It sounds amazing. Because this is a conversation that needs to be had, because it's been sort of a generation or two since that play Bent, which became a movie.
Right. So
there's a lot of younger kids that don't know about this stuff, and it's important. So anyway, but Billy wanted to make a movie about these three gay men in the Holocaust that a guy in Simon had written in the UK. Anyway, so he sent it to me, and then like I read it and I sent it out. I wrote him back. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I love this. And then he was like, yeah, I want you to play this character. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know that. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, whenever anybody wants you to do their thing, it's such a privilege, because it's like, you know, years ago, I did a solo show in New York. I did a couple. And the thing is, when you do a solo show, it's just you, right? And you tell I always do autobiographical. I wouldn't play like 32 characters. I do myself. I do an autobiographical thing, right? But when I got back, I did my first solo show, and then a couple of years later, I was in LA, and I got like my first. I'd done a feature in New York, but I did another feature film, and it was about this guy's hometown, Little Big Top, which is about this circus.
I saw the trailer for that. I have to watch that film.
Oh God, you can see it. It was on Netflix when it first launched. It was on Netflix. Now I think you can watch it on YouTube, which is great. I love that. So anyway, when I got to this town to shoot this film, I sort of knew it was about Ward Roberts' hometown, but I didn't really get the extent of it until I got there. And I was like, oh my God, I'm making a movie about this guy's hometown. and Ward, who's like the sweetest guy ever.
Yeah.
You know, and so talented. And that's when I started to realize that the different characters in the film were based on people he actually knew. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so deep and personal. And then I remember doing my solo show, and that's when it finally, like, somehow it connected for me, that like being in somebody's film is sort of like being in their solo show. You're just being another character. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes,
it's like,
it does.
It's all so personal. It's like somebody's heart.
No, what was your solo show called?
I did two. My first solo show was, I think this is, I mean, now the Paleolithic era in 2001, called Navajo Memoirs. And that was about my mother. My mother's Navajo and Pueblo. And then my father is obviously very, you know, Caucasian, English, Irish, Scottish. So, and so it was sort of exploring her and her identity, and also, you know, she struggled for years with alcoholism. So I was trying to sort of figure out, you know, what that story was. And so for me and for her, and it's a very deep sort of personal thing. And then a few years later, after I'd come out, after I did Little Big Top, I actually had a cancer scare. And that was in 2008. And I had to go for chemo and radiation at Cedars-Sinai, and I survived cancer. Actually, the same sort of thing that our friend Sherry Lewis is going through.
Wow.
So HIV at the time was, you know, there were so many things, but they were finding out there was a correlation with HPV. And so HPV can cause colon cancer, but oddly enough, I just had this thing like on my skin up near my tailbone. And so it started as a squamous cell carcinoma, and it sort of spread. And anyway, long story, without getting into the gruesome details, they caught it early enough, and I got chemo and radiation. I was fine. So when I survived the cancer, because I had done a different solo show that was not mine. Israel Horovitz, the playwright, had written a play about 9/11, and his personal solo show. So I had performed this in New York for the first anniversary of 9/11.
Right.
And so I had taken that up to the SUNY College in New York, the State University of New York in Orange. And so they had contacted me and they said, hey, you know, do you want to do a piece again this year? And I was like, sure. And they said, well, we're doing it about the environment. That's our theme. And I was like, okay. And I just came up with this title, Swimming with the Polar Bears. I thought that'll be the title. I'll figure something out. And so then I got cancer. And then I survived cancer. And then it's like January of the next year. And I'm supposed to do the play like in March or April or something. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to write a play. And, Swimming with the Polar Bears, extinction, you know, potentially dying, me having cancer. So that was the connection.
Wow.
And
so you can write pretty quick, I see.
Well, in that case, it's because it's autobiographical. So I just told my story of survival.
Right.
And then that incidentally became, because I was going into rehearsal with my director, Jill Andre, it may be about a week. And, you know, I suddenly called her up and I was like, Jill, I don't know how I do a story about surviving cancer and not talk about surviving HIV/AIDS. Because now I'm something like a 30-year survivor, but I almost died in 97. I said, I think I have to do that. And so suddenly I came out. Like I did my play, and that was my coming out as a openly gay. Well, everybody sort of, I mean, who knew? It wasn't a secret that I was gay,
right?
But being openly paused as an actor back then in 2009 was still somewhat radical. And I had even people tell me not to do it because, you know, they said, you know, you'll, whatever. I was at a point where I had just survived cancer and I was like, I have to be me.
And how did it feel to be you?
Oh my God, so liberating. So liberating. And honestly, you know what? I mean, I even talk about this year, the virtual Pride Parade. I really encourage more. I mean, now it's funny because it's over 10 years later, and more people have come out, not only about their sexuality, but also about their HIV status.
Right.
Billy Porter came out a couple of days ago.
Right.
Bravo, Billy. Like but it helps. Not only does it help other people, but there's this whole conversation about stigma. We need to end stigma. And it has been decreasing, I think, because of the drugs now. Now people could be undetectable and live forever and not transmit it to other if you get treatment.
Do you think, this is a question, do you think this pandemic has changed the way people think about HIV and AIDS?
Well, I hope so. I mean, I know for a lot of us in the AIDS, HIV, and gay community, we've all sort of been in a kind of a, I don't know, like a post-traumatic shock or something. This pandemic has certainly brought up so many memories for those of us who survived the AIDS crisis.
Yeah.
But I think also, interestingly enough, for the LGBTQ community, I feel like it's just clarified for me so much how we became such, I mean, sadly, we had to lose so many people, right? But we also, we banded together, we organized the ACT UP and, you know, AIDS activists and, you know, the lesbian community sort of helped like everybody just heal together. I mean, it was an amazing process. And so doing, I think we all like built kind of like the superhero ability to survive a pandemic or a crisis. Like, I feel like LGBTQ people, look, if you survive your childhood, you're already a hero. But then, so, you know, I feel like it's something that, you know, we have a special, it should be on my resume at the bottom, special skill.
Right. Oh my God. Oh, you mean special skills, surviving my childhood.
So yeah, surviving AIDS, surviving, you know, all of it. Yeah.
What was I gonna say? I want to go back two things. I wanted to, first of all, go back to the Big Top.
Yeah.
Because you were talking about it was his personal story, but even from your demo reel, from the trailer, you were like, you know, I say this once in a while to certain actors, you're like an amoeba. You like, you get so into the character, and it was sort of like, you had this accent. I can't do it the way it was, but
that was actually pretty good.
Well, my mama's from Mississippi.
Oh, that's all it is. That's what it takes. So
I might have picked it up. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it seemed like did you do research for it?
I did. I mean, well, so number one, it was Indiana. And so I actually sort of, before I went to set in Indiana, which, you know, was one of those things where you arrive and you start shooting that day, right? Yeah. So it's not like I had a lot of time on the ground.
Right.
But I had sort of done some research just listening to the way people talk. And oddly, I found out that there is a very big similarity from where I'm from, Texas, and that part of Indiana, you know, the thing that trips people up with accents often is they think it's about the sound. And I actually think it's more about the rhythm. You know, it's like music. It's like if you catch the right rhythm and the right intonation, you can sort of, you know, because some people think like, if I talk like this, I sound like I'm a New Yorker. And you just kind of sound like you're a New Yorker, like on, you know, methadone or something. That's not,
right.
Yeah. So you have to sort of figure out the rhythm. But I had a head start because I sort of, you know, based it on some people I knew back home in the day.
Right. Right. I'm going to throw out a name.
Yeah.
Sally Kirkland.
Oh my God. I love Sally so much. My goddess, she's like my film mother, because we're making, you know, years ago, I was supposed to make a movie with Sally. She's going to play my mom, and we're still trying to get that together.
Yeah.
But she ended up becoming like a second mom to me. She's literally, you know, the thing about Sally Kirkland, besides being like this amazing talent, like incredible that we all know, like in something like 250 million films she's been in, and she's worked with everybody on earth. She is also, besides being the spiritual, like people don't sometimes know she's actually a reverend and all of that in her church. Besides that, she's like the godmother of independent film. I mean, literally, almost, she's made so many indie films with so many people over the last 30, 40 years. Like literally, she's helped so many. I feel like it's almost like, what's that thing, 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon? Or
oh, right.
Right. It's like everybody is like 2 degrees from Sally. I mean, it's literally everybody's
2 degrees
to
from
Sally
Sally
Kirkland.
Kirkland.
It's so serious. Yeah.
Wow. And where did you meet?
We actually met my friend Craig Chester. I don't know if you know Craig, if you've ever met Craig. He is one of my best friends. We met in Texas in the early 90s, late 80s. Anyway, I was going back to New York and he was incidentally going to Bronxville with his partner. He's ended up being an actor in a movie very famously known for his performance in an early gay indie film called Swoon.
Yes.
He got the Independent Spirit nomination for that. And then he ended up making a bunch of other movies. Let's see. I mean, I know there's Adam and Steve with Parker Posey and Malcolm Getz, and then there's a bunch of other ones. Anyway, but Craig is a dear old friend. And Craig made Adam and Steve, and Sally Kirkland played his AA sponsor in that. And so I met her at the premiere or somewhere. It may have been at the Ford Amphitheater. Anyway, I met her, maybe it was at Outfest, but I met her. And then actually, like the way it worked is that right after I had cancer, I had called, during that time, I'd been on the phone all the time with Craig. And I said, if I survive this cancer, I'm making that movie. So the day I called him up and I said, oh my God, Craig, it's great. I'm clear. And he said, so are you making the movie? Oh, right.
Right.
So I said, I guess I have to have a reading. And he said, and I was like, but I don't know. The actress is in New York and I don't know, who do I ask here? He said, call Sally Kirkland. And so I did. And I went over and I gave her a script. And I thought she's, the next day she called me. She's like, I love your script. I want to do it. Let's do it.
Wow.
So then we had a reading. And then sort of as time progressed, she became really a great mentor to me. And I just love her so much.
Well, it's interesting how you put it out there in life. Whatever you want, it can manifest. It's very possible. And you're talking about what you went through, the stuff you went through, and it keeps on ringing that thing in my head is that 7 years ago I had a massive heart attack.
Right.
So I sometimes I do that because I'm like going, am I really here, or is this like the afterlife, or did I but I guess I am. But it is about surviving it and moving through it and going forward.
I kind of learned it the hard way. I mean, that what you just said, manifesting, but also I think when you survive something like that, it gives you a little extra oomph about how to deal with a crisis. Because I got diagnosed when I was so young, I was 20 years old. I was at NYU. I was studying with, Stella Adler, Marlon Brando's teacher, and like, I thought my whole career, I thought my life was ahead of me. And then they're like, boom, you're going to be dead in 6 months. So I left New York. I thought I moved to Colorado to do alternative medicine. Like I had a friend who was working in a health food store, and I was very lucky because I somehow put together that, the people that were taking AZT at the time were dying. So I stayed away from the AZT. I never really got the health food thing together, but at least I stayed away from the AZT.
Mm.
On any given day, I'd wake up and think I'm gonna, do granola and like be homeopathic and do some, alternative medicine. And then like I would smoke a cigarette and go, oh no, and then I'd smoke a joint to calm down, and then the next thing you know, I was at the bar that night. It was always tomorrow, but
that's how I am with See's Candy.
I get it. So eventually, you know, when I came back to New York, I did get sick and almost die in '97. But I had just long enough. I had like this, that the new protease inhibitors came out. But during that time, I was so determined. And this is the thing, that even though some of the things I was doing on the outside, like the smoking, like the drinking, like the, you know, was sort of, you know, not with what my mind and heart really wanted.
Yeah.
But I still had this determination that I was going to live. So while I was in Colorado, I'd bicycle up the side of a mountain every day, chanting, I'm going to live, I'm going to live, I'm going to live, I'm going to live. You know, I'd heard Deepak Chopra on the radio. Yeah. He was promoting his book, Unconditional Life, to Larry King, back when Larry King was on the radio.
Yeah.
Mutual of Omaha, remember that? And anyway, but he was promoting his book, Unconditional Life, and he wrote, and he said, I am an infinite field of potentiality. And I heard that, and I wrote it down on a piece of notebook paper, and I put it over my bed. And I just desperately believed, I'm gonna live, I'm gonna do this. And somehow that determination, I feel like that's at the core. You have to want to live. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that the people who died didn't want to live, of course not. But there, you still have to like want to get up out of bed every day.
How has your art, how has your acting changed since this all happened?
You know, that is a really good question. I don't think anybody's ever asked me that. And the thing is that after I almost died of AIDS, about 6 months later, I realized I had to get sober from drugs and alcohol. Mm-hmm. And that was sort of that sub thing that was kind of my demon voice trying to kill me, you know? So, and so when I got sober, all of a sudden, all my stuff from that childhood, from the other, you know, growing up gay in Texas, all that stuff, suddenly it all started coming up and coming out. And you realize, no wonder I was running away. I had a lot of stuff I was running away from. So when that stuff started coming up and coming out of me, at the same time, I started going back to study at Terry Schreiber in New York, who's, you know, like Ed Norton, Betty Buckley, all these people have worked with Terry over the years, and he's a genius acting teacher. But Terry, you know, started allowing me to like let all this stuff out of me. And that's when I realized, I was like, oh my God. I mean, I don't want to be pejorative against myself, but it's almost because I had been living in the kind of construct of who I thought I was, with all the booze and the, you know, drugs. And so I was a fabrication. So the people I played, it was almost like, oh, if I was a human being in this situation, I would feel like this. And so I would craft an idea of what it was versus learning how to just be, which is of course what we do as actors. Yeah. You know this. So I mean, I'm not saying everybody has to get sober, but for me, getting sober was realizing there was a layer of the mask that got to come off. And soon thereafter, I started working in film and TV. And that makes sense to me because, you know, you can't have much of a mask when you're working on camera in that way. You know, I think on stage, it's sometimes easier to get away with that stuff,
right?
But not so much. I mean, I just feel like it made me a better actor.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I tell you, I mean, everything, again, I was looking through your work this morning and I was just sitting there watching, God, I have to watch this movie now and I have to see that movie. And it's like, do you have a favorite role that you played, or are they all like?
Man.
I know that's all. They're all my children.
Yeah, no, it is kind of like that. You know, I think for various reasons. I mean, one of my favorite roles was actually, you know, playing Ron and Laura Take Back America, which was, of course, you know, I made that movie, but it's not because, Janice and I made the movie ourselves and co-wrote it and we did everything. Like, it was like the little movie that could, but it was also getting the chance to play an anti-hero, somebody that is so sort of twisted and confused and, and to try to have empathy for somebody that maybe normally I would not have empathy for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I really love those kinds of challenges. And
you did bring that to that. You really made that character exactly what you said. You have empathy for this character because, what a perfect timing for that film to come out.
Oh my God. We were so appreciative. We didn't even know. I mean, we saw, of course, and it came out literally the week that Hillary lost. And so then we were like, oh my God. And then it's, we're actually in the process of talking about sort of, I forgot what you call it now. Oh man, industry buzzwords, relaunch, re-release.
Yeah.
Doing a re-release of the film. We wanted to give enough time post, everything we've just been through for things to settle down and sort of then be able to take a look back and see, like, this is where it all began, because there was this Tea Party movement. And what seemed so innocent, like when we were making the film, we kind of thought it's not that we thought it was funny. There were some very dark things in the movie, but at the same time, I don't think we ever thought it would explode into what we've seen.
Yeah.
So, sadly, I don't think that we even thought that. I think we were like, I know Janice and I have both been like, the week, how do I say this? The week that the movie came out,
yeah.
Then it was like a week later that the election happened. And we had an interview the very next day about the film with, I think, a reporter in New York. And I called up Janice, like, how do we talk about this? like it was, what do we say? Because we were so gobsmacked because Trump won. And, it was sort of like, in the world of Ron and Laura, it would have been that they won. And so we were trying to figure out, does that mean that the film, it's almost like we wanted to make the film go. I mean, I don't know how to say this, except that you're like, oh my God, it's like, that was such a potent, suddenly the way you saw the film changed, I think. So we wanted to, because it was such you remember everybody, I mean,
oh, yeah.
Anyway. So
I remember watching it, and I think we saw it, it was, at Sunset.
Yeah, you came to the premiere.
The premiere at Sunset 5, and then it happened, and I was thinking about your film throughout that whole time, and I was going, wow, it was, yeah.
It's crazy. So now we're thinking we can re-release it and maybe have a sense of humor about it all again.
Yeah.
And also take a look at some of the xenophobia. Like now you look back, we had a scene, Ron and Laura with their illegal, their illegal, undocumented, worker that they have, taking care of the grandmother who doesn't have health care. All of these issues that are still very potent. Xenophobia, racism, homophobia, all of it. We went there.
Yeah, it's a movie I gotta see again now.
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime.